Hello guys, Andy from Next Gen Base here with a video review, and today we are taking a look at Convergence, a League of Legends story. But before we get on to that, I just wanted to say a great big thank you to all of the viewers who have been subscribing to the channel over the last couple of weeks as we've been putting out quite a bit of new content. I can't stress this enough, it really does help, and it's great to know that you're enjoying the content that we are putting out and that you want to hang around for more, because we have got a whole ton of stuff happening on the channel at the moment. So with that out of the way, let's get on with the review. So League of Legends was developed by Riot Games and released in 2009. It's a MOBA style multiplayer game influenced largely by Defense of the Ancients, but it brought with it a wealth of story and lore. Now, as a multiplayer only title, particularly a MOBA, it has attracted a more niche audience. So over the last few years, Riot have been trying to bring the lore of League of Legends to a wider audience through various spin-off media, and most prominently 2021's popular and genuinely very good, you really should give it a watch, Netflix animated series Arcane. As well as a bunch of books and shows, there's also been a number of spin-off video games, including 2020's Legends of Runeterra and 2021's Ruined King, a tactical RPG, and the first game to bear the subtitle A League of Legends story. Well, now we have the follow-up to Ruined King, coming from Double Stallion Games, and it's called Convergence. But unlike Ruined King, Convergence is not an RPG. Instead, Double Stallion Games have tapped into my psyche and given me my perfect genre. Yep, Convergence is a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania. It's set in the city of Zorn, and players take on the role of League character Echo, who's a time-twisting teenager, as he uses his abilities to explore the city, hunting down a mysterious and volatile substance known as Syntixi, in an attempt to thwart the plans of a group of nefarious ne'er-do-wells. Now, Convergence has a very big focus on combat, with Echo using his sword bat mainly to smack enemies about, but he also has a few other abilities which can help him out. And the basic abilities he gets towards the start of the game are his Zero Drive, which allows him to turn back time, very much in the style of Prince of Persia Sands of Time. This has a limited charge, so you can only use it to reverse time to a certain point. He has the Chrono Break, which is an area of effect attack, which also allows Echo to jump back in time ever so slightly, so you can effectively position yourself amongst a group of enemies, trigger the Chrono Break, do tons of damage, but jump back to safety in the process. And he also has the Time Winder, which is a ranged attack which he can throw out to damage enemies and also to power sockets, so he can open doors and activate platforms and such like, allowing him to access other areas of the world. As you play, you will unlock other abilities, including combat abilities, as well as different other ways to traverse the world. Now, following on from the heels of Hollow Knight and Ori and the Will of the Wisps and other similar Metroidvania games, traversal makes or breaks the experience in this genre, and it is good that the traversal in Convergence is fast and fun, especially as you start to unlock more of these abilities such as wall running and rail grinding, and you'll need these abilities to explore all of the areas that Zorn has to offer. Now, while each area of the city has a linear progression path, exploration and backtracking is encouraged to find secret paths, and often these will contain chests which will have either secret collectibles or a wealth of upgrade materials, and also some codex entries which add to the lore of the world and help you learn more about the characters and their backstory. Similar to Hollow Knight's charms, Echo can craft gadgets using parts that he finds throughout this exploration, and they can be equipped to improve abilities even further, such as giving more health or buffing attacks or improving other abilities that you have in your arsenal. But sometimes these do come at negative costs, and the materials that you will need to craft the charms are incredibly rare, so you will need to do a lot of exploration to make the best use of the charms mechanic. So obviously we've touched on combat. Now combat is tricky and it's very much focused on reacting to enemy tells, but acquiring and upgrading skills can make things easier to handle, with abilities such as parries and various other area of effect attacks enabling you to make very short work of the large groups of enemies that you will find in the game. And very soon you will be finding that you're parrying and time warping and doing all sorts of cool acrobatic abilities to just absolutely slice through those enemies. There's even some satisfyingly chunky boss fights to tackle as you progress through the world, allowing you to test the skills that you've picked up so far and even learn some new skills which will help you explore even further into the story. So all of your upgrades are handled in the central hub of Entresol by talking to the characters that you'll find there. Now they can offer upgrades when you bring them these rare items or upgrade materials, such as the cogs that you find when you defeat enemies. And they will offer you things like new skills or even customization options for Echo's appearance, such as his costume colour or the trail of light that he leaves when he's travelling through the world. Now the upgrade abilities are done in the form of a tree, so you can pick and choose your style of play as you go through, whether you want to focus more on combat or whether you want to focus more on the traversal side of things. And all of these upgrades do eventually lead to Echo becoming stronger and more tailored to your playstyle. And the player will soon find it much easier to tackle combat encounters as well as explore the worlds, and that brings with it an incentive to travel back and explore areas that you were previously unable to reach. All of this is wrapped up in a very nice and colourful Saturday morning cartoon style visuals with some very, very smooth animation and some really nice full voice acting, which is great to see in a game like this. You know, sometimes you only get full voice acting in cutscenes with just the usual in regular during level dialogue, but Convergence is fully voice acted and it really helps pull you in to the world and helps you engage with the characters as you're progressing through the story. And as with all good modern games, there are a few accessibility and difficulty options, and the difficulty options in particular are incredibly welcome in this single player experience for slightly more inexperienced gamers. Obviously potentially players coming from League of Legends itself over to this different style of game. They can do things like tweak enemy difficulty to the amount of health that Echo has, and even the difficulty of the traversal patterns in the world. And all of this is tweakable at a very micro level, so it's not just a case of easy, medium or hard difficulties. You can completely tailor the experience to how you want to play the game, which is a really nice thing to see. So on average, players should be looking at around 7 hours to finish the main story, with some light exploration to hunt down some secret items to help them progress through some of the tougher areas of the game. But if you want to check out every nook and cranny of the game, you're going to be looking at way more than that. So there's plenty of content here for players, but not too much. Now, we were very kindly sent a Steam key for the game, and I have been playing it on my Steam Deck, and it runs incredibly well on Valve's little handheld PC. I try and get as good performance with as good visuals out of my Steam Deck, mainly because I like to dock it into TV as well. You may have seen a recent short that we had on the channel about the DIY Steam Deck dock that I made. If not, it's linked down in the description. I did manage to push it up to 1440p, which is what the video that I've captured for this review has been played in, but there was the occasional blip in some of the busier areas with some slowdown. So you may find that if you're wanting to run it on a TV, 1080p will do really well with this game. You'll get some nice smooth FPS out of that. However, if you're a handheld only player, you're going to get some great performance out of the standard 800p setting on Steam Deck. If I were to pick out some negatives, there would be very few. Early combat encounters can become a little overwhelming until Echo learns some more advanced abilities, particularly the parry move, and some of the traversal can be a touch fiddly at times, especially when you have to react to dangers that can appear from the sides of the screens fairly quickly. The zero drive ability as well can sometimes get you trapped into a bit of a damage loop as you quickly burn its time charges to find a safe point to walk back to, but the checkpointing is fairly generous and death is often only a minor setback. With the addition of the game's very generous accessibility options, though, a lot of these issues are ultimately rendered quite moot, as the player can just configure the game to their own requirements. Now, coming into playing Convergence, I was largely unfamiliar with anything to do with League of Legends, any of its lore, any of its story, but this game has been a genuine surprise. It is a great way to bring the lore of League of Legends to a wider audience via this different game type. And with a third-person ARPG on the way from Tequila Softworks as the next League of Legends story title, it looks like many more players will get to experience this world that Riot Games originated in the original League of Legends game, and may bring players to some of the other media surrounding the franchise. Convergence ticks a lot of boxes to be a very solid Metroidvania game and delivers a fun and bright experience that at a very mid-range price won't break the bank, and it has snuck out of nowhere to become one of my recommended titles of 2023, and I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you have enjoyed this NGB review, as always, make sure you hit that like button. Drop us a comment below. Are you playing Convergence? Are you a League of Legends fan? Or have you never touched League of Legends before, and has Convergence given you that gateway into the world of LOL? Leave a comment below. And obviously, drop us a subscribe if you are not already subscribed. It does help the channel. And we will see you soon with another NGB video. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.